y'all, Kevin Bees here with Biking for Babies, talking about your training. Hopefully most of you are 3 to 4 weeks into your training, a lot of indoor biking. Hopefully the weather for a lot of you is turning around to where you can be in your outdoor, or you can be outside biking in the next couple of weeks or so, like that. So in this video, I'm going to talk a little bit about what to expect outdoor biking, some safety tips, and what you should be doing training-wise outdoors. But I want to start this video the way I've started the last video, with some spiritual reflection. I don't have a Bible quote for you today, but I'm going to tell a story about one of my idols growing up, by the name of Reggie White. Some of you may know him. Very famous NFL player, defensive lineman, holds a lot of defensive records. He played in Green Bay, so for most of his career. So my Wisconsin roots are showing just a little bit. But just a little backstory on Reggie. He played for Philadelphia for many years, Defensive Player of the Year, sack leader, sack record holder for a few years. Kind of hit the pinnacle of his career when his contract was up, and then he became a free agent, and the Green Bay Packers actually picked him up. It was pretty big news because the Packers had Brett Favre, who was up and coming. A few other big names have signed the year of and the year before. And so there was a lot of buzz going on in Titletown. And because of that, Reggie White was interviewed prior to going to Green Bay. And it's actually a relatively famous interview in the sports world, partially because it's a little controversial with some of the things that Reggie White said. But there's a part in the interview that I want to talk about today with you where Reggie White is asked, will you feel accomplished, will you feel complete if you don't win a Super Bowl? One of the best defensive players, and at the time he had not won a Super Bowl with the Philadelphia Eagles. And Reggie White kind of takes a deep breath, and he looks in the interviewer a little quizzically, and he says, well, what do you mean? And the interviewer is like, well, just as good as you've been and accomplished so many other goals, this seems to be the last thing in your life checklist to check off. And Reggie White looks at me and he says, it doesn't matter if I win a Super Bowl. It doesn't matter if I even get to a Super Bowl. I have my salvation in Jesus Christ, and that's all that matters. And at the end of the day, that's what matters. And my playing style and the way I use my money for Christ is what matters. And as you can imagine, in this interview, the interviewer is a little blown away by that response. And you could see in the interview how genuine Reggie White said that, because the interviewer kind of jokingly laughed. He's like, so you don't care if you win a Super Bowl? And Reggie laughs even harder. He says, no, it does not bother me. I will play freely. I will do my best. But, I know where my life lies, and that is in Jesus. And why I bring that story up is because I want to remind you guys that what we're doing is not about biking, which may sound a little crazy, right? Because biking for babies, it's in the name. But the biking aspect of it is such a small piece of what we're doing. Really, in these next couple months, even though you're going to be focused on training, you really need to focus on praying. You need to focus on having a better connection with the pregnancy resource centers and living a life that is almost worth biking for in the final trip, so to speak. Letting it be the crescendo. And whether you complete the whole thing or you only make it 10 miles a day, that does not matter. That does not matter in the grand scheme of what we're trying to do. Raise awareness, show joy in life. Those are the big things. So in your training, I want you to keep that in mind. I want you to not be nervous, because your accomplishments on the road are far, far from the spiritual accomplishments and everything else that we're trying to do with this organization. So that's my story for you. So meditate on that. Think about that. If you want to look up the interview, it's a very good interview. But now let me get into some actual training stuff, because if it were up to me and if I could be with each one of you on the route, I would do everything in my power to make sure that you finish, because I will tell you that is a pretty good feeling to go across that finish line and say that you did a really awesome thing. And the suffering that comes with the ride is a part of showing our solidarity with the Pregnancy Resource Center. So let's talk a little bit about the road. Hopefully most of you guys have a bike to ride on outdoors right now. It may not be the bike that you're using on the trip. If you're borrowing it for someone or still in the process of buying, that's okay. But I'm going to tell you that in the next 2 to 3 weeks, you should have the bike that you will be biking the route on, and being able to train on it. Okay. For those of you that have a mountain bike, I actually recommend training on a mountain bike to start, because if you can pick your speed up and your cadence up on a mountain bike, it's going to feel a lot better once you get to a road bike. Okay. Those of you that are buying or borrowing a bike and need tips on what bikes to buy, please email me. I'm not going to go over a list, but please email me if you're worried about which bike that you're going to ride or buying, and you and I can have a discussion over email or via phone if that helps you out. And fitting the bike, I'm not in this video going to go over all the steps to fitting a bike. That's something you can very easily YouTube. Again, if you're nervous, if you're setting up your bike and you just think, I don't know if this is right, please feel free to email me, call me. We can definitely talk about it. I can walk you through some easy beginner steps so that you can feel comfortable on the new bike that you've either borrowed or purchased. Okay. Safety things, because safety is extremely important to us, and that even means while you're training. So this is going to sound really silly, but make sure you're biking on the right side of the road. Never even on a bike lane. If it's a bike lane, unless it's supposed to be going against traffic, make sure you're on the right side of the road. Try to bike middle of the day when you're the most visible, when there's not a sunset or sunrise where people might not be able to see you due to glare. Try to wear bright clothing, especially if you have a dark or smaller bike. For those of you, if you have reflectors, leave them on. Even lights, a bike light is great just to help people see you even during the day. You'd be surprised. Try to bike on roads that have wider shoulders or 2 lanes. That way cars can easily pass you. Don't try to bike on busy congested roads. Obviously, you can't bike on interstates, and I wouldn't recommend biking on highways by yourself. So try to stay to county roads if you're able to. And always and forever wear a helmet, please. Even during training, make sure that you have a helmet, make sure that it is fitted properly. Again, that's something you can look at online, or you can call me, text me, whatever you want to do. We can talk about fitting your helmet to make sure that the helmet's doing what it's actually supposed to be doing. So that's kind of my safety tips. As far as the actual route or actual riding, you should be able to ride relatively easy for 40 straight minutes at about this point, outdoors even. Once you get outside, you should be getting close to 40 to 50 miles a week, especially mid-April, late April. Hopefully you guys are logging that many miles. The training guide, I know it has like Tuesday, Thursday, do such and such miles. But that's really the overall mileage in a week is the most important part. So if you're nervous about not being able to hit the actual intervals, that's okay. But just make sure you're getting the miles in sometime during the week. And again, if you have any questions, feel like you're not biking enough miles, please let me know. I'm more than happy to help. Okay. Hopefully you found this video helpful. Hopefully you think about what Reggie said. It's not about the Super Bowl. It's not about getting to St. Louis, except for safely. Getting to St. Louis safely. It's about the experience, and it's about what we're trying to prove and what we're trying to show our love and glory for God. So take care, and I'll see you.